Chicago Sky, y'all stink, bro. Y'all, look, there's trash and then there's trash. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, the Chicago Sky got destroyed by the stud buds. Everybody watches the stud buds. Shout out to Courtney Williams and Tisha Heiderman, man. Listen, stud buds stood on business today. Nafisa Collier stood on business today. They destroyed the Chicago Sky.
Angel Reese had a night that felt less like a basketball game and more like a giveaway show, handing out 9 turnovers as if she were Oprah passing out free prizes. You get the ball, you get the ball, everybody gets the ball. Meanwhile, the stud buds didn't just arrive ready to play. They turned the court into their own personal comedy stage, capitalizing on every mistake and keeping the crowd entertained. What unfolded wasn't a polished matchup but a live blooper reel, where confidence collided with chaos in the most dramatic way possible. If anyone ever wondered what happens when things spiral out of control on the court, this game delivered a full-blown basketball roast, and the heat from it is still sizzling. Fire basketball.
Angel Reese had 9 turnovers. Listen, y'all got to stop with this point forward foolishness, man. Let's take a look, man. Hold on, man. Y'all be wildin'. Y'all be wildin', son. Bruh, come on, man. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop, yo. Y'all got to stop.
Angel Reese was just 1 turnover away from a triple-double, but not the kind anyone celebrates. Instead of points, rebounds, and assists, she was flirting with a stat line that belongs in basketball's hall of mishaps. 9 turnovers.
9.
That's not just a number on the box score. It's practically a confession. Every time she touched the ball, it seemed destined to end up in someone else's hands. It was like she was running a charity for defenders, handing the ball over with generosity. Here, take it. You look like you could use a fast break. What could have been a normal night on the court slowly turned into a chaotic showcase of mistakes, where every possession felt like another opportunity for the other team to cash in.
In the entire WNBA and Angel Reese in garbage time. We saw it. Angel Reese last year against the Fever with like 2 minutes to go. She needed to, I think it was like 6 points and 3 rebounds. And she went and caught like 2 rebounds and then immediately goes at Victoria Saxton 3 times in a row.
At this point, the only logical explanation almost feels like the coaching staff isn't on the joke, as if the whole thing is some kind of performance art, a satire of team dynamics playing out in real time. Because let's be honest, the moment they try to run any real offensive action through Angel Reese, the lane turns into a traffic jam that would make Los Angeles blush. You can practically hear the paint screaming, "Make it stop." Every time she plants her feet in there, it's like she's setting up a campfire in the middle of the key, freezing the offense in place. And forget about a smooth pick and roll, the only thing rolling lately is the ball, right into the other team's hands.
Chases after this opponent, gets close to her during a box out, grabs her by her hips, and hip tosses her, throwing her to the ground. She stands up, she walks over to this opponent, bends over, screams in her face, and flips her the double bird. That's the WNBA gold. We're going to get into it. And the laughter. Oh, Angel. Oh, my angel. You're my darling. Angel, angel, angel. You've been playing well, Angel. I give it to you. You've been playing well. But every now and then, those stinkers. Oh, man.
Oh man. So instead of risking a complete offensive meltdown, they've basically handed Angel Reese the honorary title of facilitator, which sounds adorable if you imagine it happening in kindergarten instead of professional basketball. Facilitator, as in, we're not totally confident you'll finish the play, so please just move the ball along before chaos breaks loose. Because if she's not passing, she's bricking. And if she's not bricking, she's flailing. And if she's not flailing, she's traveling, both literally and spiritually, somewhere very, very far away from the rim. At that point, the possession stops looking like an offensive set and starts feeling more like a survival drill for the rest of the team.
Like, there's absolutely no foul in that. She gets a good whistle, jumps up, and then goes at somebody on the other team. Who's she go at? She goes at Diamond Miller, her former Maryland teammate. And like Angel's one tech off a suspension as well. And is like, anytime anyone gets into it with her, she's straight in their face. And I'm like, I don't mind that. But you just got to be smart. To be fair, this guy sucks. So you might as well just go and take your, I'll say it.
It's starting to feel like it's not even about a few bad games anymore. The whole situation almost resembles the basketball version of a government cover-up. Nobody really wants to say it out loud, but you can sense the frustration building around it. For critics watching Angel Reese, the performance doesn't just look like a rough night or a normal learning curve. They frame it as something far worse, asking why she's even on the floor at all. The complaints pile up. Jokes about garden gnomes having better footwork, scarecrows having steadier hands, while the offense supposedly stalls around her like gum stuck in a vending machine slot. And yet, from that perspective, benching her would mean admitting something went wrong, pulling back the curtain on months of hype and highlight reels. So instead, she's imagined standing at the top of the key, waving her arms like a traffic director while teammates cut around her in controlled chaos. In this narrative, she isn't orchestrating the play so much as unintentionally creating the next blooper moment, with the ball sometimes ending up in the hands of someone wearing the wrong jersey.
But she was turning her season around. Just when I thought Angel Reese was graduating from pretend basketball player to make-believe basketball player, the level where it's almost believable that Angel Reese is a basketball player. Just when I thought Angel Reese would pull through in the clutch and do America a favor. With a win last night against the Minnesota Linkers, Angel Reese would have become the most popular player in the WNBA dunk. Well, Casey, that's simply not possible. Caitlin Clark will always be the most popular player in the WNBA.
From that critical point of view, the frustration seems to go beyond a single stat line and starts to feel like a team-wide adjustment happening in real time. Watching the floor spacing, some observers say it almost looks like teammates are hesitating around Angel Reese, cutting a little later, drifting a little wider, as if they're trying to avoid being caught in a mistimed pass, an awkward screen, or a loose dribble. Instead of smooth chemistry, the offense can appear tense, like everyone is trying to keep the possession from unraveling. The irony critics point out is that, despite all the talk about leadership, toughness, and championship mentality, they feel she's become more of an anchor than a catalyst, though not in the stabilizing sense. In their view, 9 turnovers aren't just a rough patch, but a symbol of a deeper offensive struggle, where positioning in the dunker spot sometimes looks less like strategy and more like congestion. And when possessions break down, it can feed the narrative that instead of creating opportunities for her own team, the chaos ends up fueling fast breaks for the other side, turning what should be playmaking moments into unexpected plot twists. Basketball.
You know why people are defending this? Let's get into it. Nneka Ogwumike, she gets up, proceeds to get boxed out, unable to move her opponent out of the way. Nneka Ogwumike retaliates, grabs her by the hips, throws her to the floor, stands over her, screams on her, flips her the double bird. Quinterly, Dallas Wings' teammate, being a good teammate, gets in the middle of the two, pushes Nneka out of the way like a good teammate should. Instead of saying, Nneka, come here, let me get you a hug. No, get up off my teammate, girl. Get up off my teammate. Nneka Ogwumike can't let it go.
From the critics' perspective, it's gotten to the point where opposing teams almost seem to bait Angel Reese into having the ball. They're comfortable letting her touch it, even encouraging it, as if they believe the possession might unravel on its own. You can imagine an opposing coach quietly saying, "Let her cook," fully expecting the play to break down before it ever finishes. And when turnovers happen, the transition back on defense becomes another talking point for frustrated viewers. Some say the recovery effort can look more symbolic than urgent, like motion without real impact. The body language gets interpreted as frustration mixed with a lack of focus, intensity in moments, but not always translating into results. That's why the conversation often circles back to the coaching staff. Observers assume they must be aware of the issues, because repeated offensive breakdowns rarely go unnoticed at a professional level. The theory from critics is that the team may be simplifying her role, using her more as a decoy or developmental piece, while hoping improvement comes with time. Meanwhile, the public messaging tends to stay positive. Press conferences highlighting effort and growth, social media clips showing the best moments while skipping the mistakes. To fans who are watching every possession, that contrast can make the whole situation feel less like a clear plan and more like a carefully managed narrative while the team tries to figure things out. Basketball.
Telling you, with a win last night, Angel Reese would have surpassed the Rue from Waterloo in popularity. Now, I am not saying that her dozens of aliases would have passed Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese herself, she definitely would have. Going into the game last night, Cheryl Reed, the head coach of the Minnesota Linkers, she told the doofus duo who refer to themselves as stud buds, she told them if they lost this game to the Chicago Bravado, they would no longer be allowed to stream on Twitch.
From the harshest critic's perspective, the whole situation can start to feel like a lesson in selective storytelling. Frame the narrative the right way, and maybe people stop focusing on the scoreboard, or on the moments where things clearly went off the rails. In that view, even when the team struggles badly, the spotlight still stays on Angel Reese, with highlight clips and narratives emphasizing effort, hustle, or double-double stat lines while glossing over the messy possessions that led there. Some frustrated fans argue that this focus can overshadow the rest of the roster, players who shoot efficiently, move well without the ball, and keep the offense flowing. To them, it starts to look less like a pure basketball decision and more like brand management, protecting a highly marketed star rather than fully confronting the team's on-court issues. At the same time, others point out that the hype machine isn't something Reese created on her own. Media coverage, social media buzz, and marketing all contribute to the pressure and expectations placed on young players. That's why the debate around her performances can feel so polarized. Supporters point to her rebounding, energy, and frequent double-doubles as proof she's impacting the game. Critics counter that box score numbers can sometimes hide messy possessions or inefficient play if you actually watch every minute of the game. The result is a constant tug-of-war between the stat sheet and the eye test, two very different ways people interpret what's really happening on the court. Basketball.
Lads, Angel Reese is currently about to be suspended. She has 7 technical fouls on the season. And if this was last season, in a 44-game season, she would have already been suspended. And it is genuinely one of the funny things about this is that her fans are arguing that none of the techs are warranted. They are all warranted.
Because here,
Critics of Angel Reese often push the argument even further when it comes to her rebounds and scoring. They'll say the numbers can be misleading, pointing out that some rebounds come off her own missed shots, joking that self-assisted rebounding should be its own category on the stat sheet. In that framing, grabbing the ball after a missed attempt isn't dominance so much as cleaning up the same possession twice, more like doing janitorial work in a headband than delivering a highlight moment. The same critics make a similar claim about the points she puts up. They argue that sometimes the offense looks like it's forcing the ball her way, determined to make the play work even when it's messy, like trying to jam a square peg through a circular hoop. The comparison they use is feeding the ball to a dominant interior scorer, but not always getting that same level of finishing. So by sheer volume of touches, the numbers can still reach double digits, even if the possessions themselves feel chaotic. From that perspective, each shot looks like a gamble and every pass into traffic feels risky, which is why opposing defenders often seem eager when the ball heads her direction. Of course, that's only one side of the debate. Supporters counter that rebounding, especially on the offensive glass, is still a valuable skill that creates extra possessions, and they argue that young players often refine their efficiency over time. That's why the conversation around Reese remains so heated. Some fans focus on the stat sheet and effort, while others focus on efficiency and decision-making, leading to two very different interpretations of the same game. Basketball.
Angel Reese, the most toxic player in all of basketball, is out here slapping clipboards out of her coaching staff's hand because she's so mad her team committed a foul in the crunch after she shot 15 free throws this game. This is the lowest of the low disrespect that you can show to your coaching staff. She trying to get y'all locked in, worried about the next play, and you so toxic with your terrible, awful attitude that you slap the clipboard out of her hand.
And
Some critics take it even further, questioning why Angel Reese is sometimes promoted as one of the faces of the league. From their perspective, the label feels confusing because they see her play as the opposite of what young players are usually taught. In their eyes, if someone wanted a lesson in smooth pick-and-roll execution or precise defensive positioning, Reese wouldn't be the example they'd point to. Instead, they describe possessions where the offense seems to stall, moments where she's planted in the paint like a statue while the rest of the team tries to work around the congestion. Critics frame it almost like an unintended performance piece, an offense losing rhythm while the ball moves everywhere except the right place. When she does get it in the post, they imagine defenders already anticipating chaos, either a rushed off-balance attempt or a hurried pass that sails into traffic. In that narrative, what should be a structured offensive set starts to feel unpredictable, with teammates reacting quickly because they're not entirely sure what's about to happen next. Of course, that interpretation is part of the ongoing debate around her game. Supporters still point to her rebounding, competitiveness, and energy as reasons she draws attention and marketing. But critics focus on efficiency, decision-making, and spacing, which is why discussions about Reese often swing between admiration and heavy skepticism depending on who's watching the same play unfold. Basketball.
What's up, y'all? I just want to talk about this chick, Angel Reese, for a second. She has been all over my timeline, over my Twitter or X, Instagram, TikTok. She's always pushing people and this and that. She's always in controversy. So let me address this situation real quick. How is she a professional athlete? Like, can we step back for a second and just analyze this situation? How in the world is this chick a professional athlete? She is, out of all the clips that I've seen, she is the worst basketball player I've ever seen.
The critics' narrative continues. Angel Reese may have finished with a double-double, 14 points, 12 rebounds, but, in their eyes, the numbers don't tell the full story. They argue that piling up stats is easy when you're logging 30-plus minutes, and the offense essentially runs through you, even if the possessions themselves are chaotic. At some point, they say, box score numbers lose meaning when the eye test is screaming, "This ain't it." There's a distinction between real impact, which helps your team win, and inflation, which pads a stat sheet while the team gets blown out. Critics believe Reese often falls into the latter category. They describe her style of play as the basketball equivalent of empty calories. It looks substantial on paper but lacks the nourishment of true efficiency and team contribution. Add in the perceived swagger, celebrating layups when the team is down, chirping after free throws while the scoreboard bleeds points, and it's compared to throwing a birthday party on the Titanic. Confidence can be inspiring, but when paired with frequent misses and poor decision-making, it starts to feel more like parody than power. Observers note that she plays with the bravado of a seasoned veteran while, according to the critique, relying on fundamentals that resemble TikTok tutorials more than professional-level training. Basketball.
Made some comments about Angel Reese.
Yeah.
You called her garbage compared to Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I love black people. Mwah, 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 mwah. But I think sometimes we do play the race card too much. This ain't racial. This is about sports. This is about athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Caitlin Clark's game, who's very reminiscent of a Steph Curry based on her range and shooting the three, plus everything else she does. And then you look at Angel Reese.
Swagger can be great, but there's a fine line between confidence and delusion, and critics argue Angel Reese is teetering on the latter. Right now, they say, she's starring in her own motivational poster, except the caption reads, "Shoot your shot, even if you miss entirely, and turn it over 5 times in a row." Observers note that commentators often rush to justify the chaos. She brings energy. Sure, but so does a car crash. She has presence. True, but so does a traffic cone. In their eyes, presence only matters when it helps the team accomplish something bigger than existing on the court or flailing visibly after a foul. Under that spotlight, Every misstep becomes fodder for memes. Every game another installment in the blooper reel. Yet somehow, she continues to get minutes, reps, and attention, while teammates quietly adjust around her orbit, like players circling a basketball sun that shines bright but burns everything nearby. Critics argue the system prioritizes her box office appeal and stat lines over team efficiency, allowing the machine to keep spinning as long as the optics remain favorable. Basketball fire.
But I don't know who need to hear this, but Angel Reese got to be the worst basketball player ever. She's the worst basketball player ever. Like, do y'all guys don't understand this? She only made 2 points with 12 rebounds. She missed a couple of shots and she missed a rebound, bro. She only made 12 rebounds. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 12 rebounds.
Eventually, the critics argue, reality catches up. Turnovers pile up, shot selection falters, and the faux hustle that once entertained starts to wear thin. Fans who actually watch the game, rather than just scrolling highlights, begin to notice the truth. Those flashy box scores can be fool's gold. Hype alone doesn't win games. From that perspective, the face of basketball can sometimes feel more like a mask hiding a mess of missed layups, awkward footwork, and stalled possessions. Sure, they say, celebrate the 14-point, 12-rebound double-double, but don't ignore the 9 turnovers, the clogged lanes, the flustered teammates, and the final score where the team got steamrolled. Behind the impressive stats, critics see a combination of denial, inefficiency, and mismanaged opportunities, a double dose of disappointment wrapped up in a seemingly respectable stat line. Basketball collision.